Hey world, this is your girl, Marky Lemons-Ryhal, real estate keynote speaker. And today I am going to talk about my absolute favorite subject for realtors and those practicing real estate. Today I have Genny Williams on with me. What's going on, Genny?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Marky. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I am glad that you were able to find time out to spend with me because I know right now you're wearing multiple hats and I have to applaud you for doing so. I'm still sitting here trying to get my head wrapped around how do you do so many things? But I know that you're an expert of lead generation and you also have been in the industry for a while. How many years have you been in real estate?
22.
You don't even look 22. How you been selling real estate for 22 years?
Oh my God. Okay. You just moved up. You're my favorite now.
22 years. Oh, so my goodness. So that means that you've lived through the multiple cycles. Like everything was really peaches and cream at the beginning of 2000. Then we went through the change in the real estate market while implementing social media technology and basically online lead generation. And now you're back actively selling real estate.
I am. I just got back in January of this year. So after not selling and the past 10 years, I've been completely focused on one-on-one real estate clients, growing their business through lead generation and marketing strategies.
So question for you, what made you, I'm assuming that that was a goal for 2019 because you did it in January. What made you decide to come back into the day-to-day sale aspect of real estate?
Well, probably the most honest answer I can give you, and I'm always transparent, is I was burnt out. I was very burnt out after 10 years of catering to agents, and I loved them. They're my whole world. And I probably even waited 2 years too late. I had been burned out for a long time. Just keeping a very busy schedule and making sure I was implementing everyone's marketing plans. And it was just a lot of pressure. Our business kept growing. It was just time to do something new, and I really didn't know what I was going to do.
Wow.
I ended up becoming a national trainer for a real estate company and got that opportunity. And when I saw the power of the company, I said, I'm going to go back into sales. So that's what I did.
And you know what? I know what company you're with because I looked at all of your information. So I'm going to say this. We kind of have similar stories.
I love it.
Well, and mine was I went back to a national company. It's been about 18 months now. My story was a little different. I didn't feel the burnout, but because I had previously been a franchise owner or partner in a profit share model. Let's go that route.
Yeah.
And the profit share checks, I had been gone from that model for like 5 years and they kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And I said, I need some more of that in my life.
Right.
And that's what kind of pulled me back in. So now that you had 22 years experience, you worked with agents on their marketing and their lead generation.
Yes.
What did old Genny tell 2019 new Genny? What was the first thing she told you to do in your business today versus 22 years ago?
So it's so funny how the basics never change, right? Like when I started 22 years ago, we did not even have the internet. We were still using MLS books. And don't you let somebody see that book. We couldn't send people listings. Oh my goodness, so funny. But the basics always start with make a list of everybody you know and who knows you, right? And so that was the first thing I did. And I have to tell you, it was terrifying for me at the time to do this because, you know, I've been helping people achieve huge goals. Like many of my clients, I have a client that's closing 50 houses a month. Many close hundreds. And so everybody's like going to be looking at me, right? Because I've been helping other people do it. So I felt a lot of pressure, immediately sat down to do my database. And I could only come up with 48 names because agents are my sphere of influence. there,
Oh,
for the
yeah.
past 10 years.
So you built a database, and what's kind of funny? I attribute even my old success the same way. The very first thing, and I don't even think they make this type of spreadsheet app or tool anymore. I always kept, like, in high school, I had a Rolodex, right?
Right,
And
yeah.
I had a black book before the Rolodex, and I could just keep going back. But it was always about keeping contact information. That was something that was always ingrained in me. So when I came into real estate, I had some makeshift database system that I was always putting everybody's information in. But at that point, if we go back 22 years ago, we're talking about really for the direct mail purposes. And we were actually picking up the phone and calling then to
Right.
invite to our events or dropping flyers. I was dropping flyers
Oh,
off in
yeah.
offices. Yeah, so I'm
Copy and
just
paste, baby. Copy and paste.
so I'm like, oh yeah. So you went back to the basics, and because you've been focused on realtors, you had a bunch of realtors in your database,
Hmm.
but now you're looking at your local, your farm area, and you came up
Right.
with 48 names.
Yes,
And
that was all I could come up with. And I was crushed by that.
with those 48 names, what were your intentions for those 48 people?
So immediately I sent out a letter saying that I'm back, and it was very polished and really laid out my goals on how I wanted to help 50 families this year, but that I could not do it without their help. And that, it was a little scary for me going back in, but I was very passionate about making sure that I helped those families, and most importantly, signs and yards. So I made it about the listing. And I have to say that we're in July now,
Hmm.
and I have 9 closings this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have 11 total pending, and we are ahead of the goal.
You're ahead of the goal. So,
Yes.
so when we look at that 50 divided by 12, right? That's putting us a little bit four. You need 5 every month, and you'll exceed the goal.
Yes.
So you are definitely on pace because you're almost double that this month,
Right.
and you're only 6 months into the year.
Yes.
So one thing that you just said, you had a goal,
Yes.
and you conveyed the goal. You essentially made your clients, the 48, right? The 48 people who you mailed to, they're holding you accountable to reach your goal.
Yes, they are. And I had to set the clear vision for them, because one of the most important things we have to do in the business, every real estate agent and really every small business owner, is we have to train people to be foot soldiers for us. We have to train them to be on the lookout for what fits our business. And just like last night, I got a phone call from a recent past client, and he was like, listen, there are 3 people in my neighborhood that are thinking about putting their house on the market. I wanted to make sure you knew. Here's their phone numbers. I've already talked to them. I've told them about you. And that's what a foot soldier is. Every week he calls me, and I actually got him as an expired listing. And I was making my expired calls, and picked him up. He had been on the market for over a year. He did it himself first, and contracts. He'd been under contract 4 different times, and he just didn't know the questions to ask. So he never could get to the closing table. He also hired a discount agent. Still couldn't get to the closing table. Whenever got him converted on the market, we had a cash buyer that closed in less than 7 days. So it's all about that expertise, right? And so
Yes.
now he is a foot soldier. He gets out there and tells everybody to hire me. And so I've already had additional closings from him this year. So once you get into someone's world, right, you've got to make sure that you're training them to do that for you.
In training them, what's the first step to, well, one, I guess you got to perform well, but what are the
There you go.
what are like 3 steps to developing an advocate?
Okay, so I think you said it best, by performing well. And really, performing well means staying in constant contact with them every single day, texting. how are you today? Hey, this is what's going. Hey, nothing's going on today. It only takes a second to make that quick text, and they are so grateful that you're doing that. You also, in the middle of it, you want to make sure you're taking care of them first and that they always perceive that. But you also want to say, hey, has anyone at work talked about selling their house? Anybody at church?
You know what's kind of funny? In interviewing people, let me say this. Most agents wait until the deal closes to ask for the referral.
Right.
However, every expert I speak to states that we need to ask consistently throughout the process.
Yes.
Okay, so I ask for the business throughout the process.
Right. In fact, we use referral cards, and we have these referral cards that we've always given to our clients, and it has their picture on it, and it's cardstock, and it's polished, and it's got like 7 lines on it. But after that listing agreement is signed, and they love you the best. You know that. They love you the best at that moment, right? Because
yes.
You're not disappointing them. You're not telling them the appraisal's low or the inspection's bad or people backing out, right? They love you at that moment. Same with your buyer agency agreement. So at that time, you can pass over that. Hey, now that we've gotten you completely taken care of, and this is my script, I just go straight into it. I want to work with people just like you. Already, you are just my type of person, and I'm so excited that I get a chance to work for you. Maybe at work, you've heard people talking, maybe at church, maybe your friends or family. Somebody got you excited about wanting to move, so you're probably having all kinds of conversations. And over the next few weeks, you're going to be sharing what it's like to put your house on the market and go through this process. So what 3 people do you know that need to sell a house in the next 60 days? Sure, you can think of someone, and you slide over and let them fill out your referral card. So we like to use that in 3 different steps of the process. So when they love you the most, right? After the contract has been signed, and then a week after they move in. Not at closing. Closing is about them.
So the referral cards, I've never heard anyone state that they used a referral card. I love that idea. And then you're using that strategically at 3 different times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I'm realizing something in our conversation here. We've talked about letters, which most of us would consider to be old school, right?
Right, yeah.
But then you also talked about texting, okay?
Yes.
How many different mediums or tools do you use? Is there a rhyme, reason, or method to the different tools that you're utilizing?
Well, we use a lot of tools actually, but it's that personal touch. And sometimes it has to be personal touch plus volume, because I've grown my database a ton since that 48. And I realized I had to get out and meet a lot of new people. And that's where most of all of my business has come from. So I met, I saw people that were doing things in my industry like staging or surveying and I've had long relationships with, appraisers and stuff like that. But I reached out because my stager had quit and she was on to another career. So I met with one and we had coffee. I always talk to her on Facebook, and I just reached out to people and said, you know what, we have a relationship on Facebook, but I'd love to know more about you and how I can help you. I'm just getting back in sales. Can you share your process with me over a cup of coffee? Well, just that late. And again, you don't know where your business is going to come from. You can't rule out any possibilities. You have to know as many people as possible. She has been responsible for $2 million sales, and have another closing this Thursday from her, and I have another listing appointment coming up that will also be a multi-million-dollar sale. So that is a coffee from a Facebook relationship. Yes, there you go. Yes. So
that got to be some good butt coffee, okay? What kind of coffee is that? Like,
I know.
Can you ship me some of that coffee? I need a couple of cartons.
Well, and I'm just as surprised as you are hearing it, because she's been in the business for 20 years. She has a ton of relationships. What made our conversation different was, one, I was interested in her. One, I was interested in trying to find ways, for her to work. And she asked me a bunch of questions. I didn't know that she was trying to find out how I worked. And she puts me in the lineup in front of heavy hitting people. And I'm just so grateful and so thankful. But it can be that ezy. It can be that easy. That was a relationship. I reached out because when I looked at those 48 names, I said, I can't make a living on 48 names. I got to meet some people.
You got to meet some people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take us back because we've both been in business long enough, and I'm going to take us back to the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book.
Yeah.
And one thing that book taught me was the fact that we have a 1 in 50 chance of converting people we never met versus a 1 in 6 chance of meeting people we have met. And even though people can look at us online and know we're very online social, most people who are very good in sales are also very offline social. And so that means that we understand our greatest asset is to touch people, to meet people, to hug and embrace people, to shake hands, and to ask for business. But what I love is the fact that we realize you went old school, you mailed the letter. Then you came back and you've done some texting just as that daily follow-up, because it's easy to do and non-interruptive to the other person, technically.
Right.
And then you reached out to somebody on Facebook.
Yes.
In your marketplace, a lot of people, and you did something really simple. You was going to drink coffee anyway. You had a coffee partner and talked about how you could be of how you could help them in their business.
Right.
So am I hearing a little bit of Michael Mayer in there? That sounds like just a little bit of Michael Mayer.
I bought Michael's very first copy at Star Power. When he had self-published it, I stood up with a standing ovation at Bob Corcoran's mastermind, and I said, my agents will do this. And I have taught it, and I preach it, and I'm on stage doing it. I've incorporated it in all the coaching I've done. Yes, you hear Michael throughout.
I'm working him weaving him into our office for our events, and I am so elated that a couple of my agents, their first event is actually going to be a ice cream social.
Fun.
They have the lender to sponsor, but what's even more fun, the ice cream shop is owned by a top producing commercial realtor
How cool.
in the city. And so they are so excited. They did a different spin. They're actually doing theirs as a family event on a Sunday after church.
That's fun. That's good.
So I've been working it in to the process. And here's the thing, it is a process.
It is. Absolutely.
And when people hear your story, the fact that you set a goal to help 50 people and you're gonna exceed that number with just coming back into the bit, because technically you've been disconnected from, even though you're all about lead generation, the actual day-to-day sales, and we had to get Rev back up into that process.
Yes.
How with a plan of action and lead generation, you're able to come back in there and you're able to take market share.
That's right.
to garnish market share. So I'm actually loving everything that you're telling. So tell me what are some other steps in your process?
Okay, so as far as lead generation for me, definitely doing the network stacks. That's a huge thing for me. I joined the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm meeting as many small business people as I can.
That's my number one go-to. I tell people all the time, if you're trying to go into a new marketplace, join the Chamber of Commerce, because first of all, you'll get invited to every ribbon cutting in the community. Yes. And if there's a local publication, they're going to feature you from the ribbon cutting. It's just the most natural thing to me for people to do, but they don't do it. I'm not interrupting anymore. Okay.
No, you can interrupt. I know that's because we're bringing it home. And the reason that you suggest that to people is because it works. And they're like-minded business people. They're there to see how they can help others so that they can grow their business. And I want to do everything I can to promote these business members. I do videos for them. I do interviews with them on social media. I do. I try to have events at certain places. We were talking about events just a second ago, and I'll get to some of those in just a minute. But another thing that I'm a big believer in is video marketing is huge. And so I do a ton of it. And yes.
My sweet spot.
There you go. The reason is because it is the fastest way to build a personal one-sided relationship. And I say one-sided because I might not know all of the people that are following my videos, but they feel like they know me, and they do know me, right? So it's incredible.
So I don't know, video is my number one go-to thing, and I swear it changed my business, but this is what's funny. Last week, I had a cousin come visit Chicago. She was born and raised here, but she left in 1986 to go away to college, and she never has lived here in the city again. So we go to an after-work networking event, and we're there 10 minutes. And so she steps back, she looks at me, she says, so you a celebrity now? And I could not do anything but laugh, because she says, if another person stops you, hugs you, or kisses you, and that was the power 100% of video. I don't know. And people were saying, Marky, you've never met me, or Marky, I saw you so-and-so. She was like, you don't know these people.
Right.
And I'm like, I said, but they know me. And that was what was important. Okay, yeah, that was, see, if you could have bought off a 5 cent, so you a celebrity now?
Well, I realize the power of that, because you're right. It is mind-blowing when you first have it happen, and then when other people see it. I was speaking at the Explode conference in St. Louis, and this lady walked up to me. She goes, "Oh my God, you're here! It's you!" And I was like, "It is me!" She's like, "I watch all of your videos. I love all of your tips." And so we have the power, every single one of us, to impact and influence and make a difference by our personal opinions and our expertise. And video is the best way to do that. But I'm going old school back here for just a second. I actually started a radio show. And I know, like, who listens to radio? But it has been so much fun, and actually I'm doing it on nonprofit. It's very inexpensive, and it's such a great way for me to bring guests in our community onto the show. And for the public, it's called Life Along 280 in Chelsea. So that is my market, and it's, Dash discussing your property values. And every show we talk about how that business owner or service impacts our community to keep our property values high.
I love that. Now, let me ask you this. Are you taking the radio show, because I know some of them talk to SoundCloud, and repurpose that for a podcast? Or
we are in the process of doing that.
Okay.
We're definitely in the process of doing that. And it's been just such a great way for instance, I had a gift shop on a couple weeks ago, and she took the recording. She's a brilliant marketer herself. I mean, brilliant. She's got 3 locations in our area, and everybody loves their store. And she emailed out our recording to everyone in her database and said, Genny is a local expert, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I didn't even ask her to. She didn't even tell me she was going to do it. So I think the key to lead generation is visibility. And visibility is so important. That's what video does for you. That's what being good to others and supporting them does for you.
Secret agents don't get found. My favorite sentence ever. Because they'll do the video, but then they'll turn make it private. Well, honey, the goal is for people to see it. So secret agents don't get found. So I love the radio show, and the fact that you're essentially highlighting all the businesses in the community, and just by that shop, taking it and sending it out to their entire database.
Right.
Imagine you started it for a whole different purpose, but if everybody did the same identical thing,
yes,
how many new clients that would bring you?
right.
And in the long run, the goal is for the visibility and hopefully, but I mean, that's 3-4 clients, right? Every time they send an email out of people you've never met that you get to add back to your database.
Yeah, people that I would not be able to reach otherwise.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it's a personal endorsement. So a couple doors down from the gift shop is a boutique that I also had on, and she's a huge fan. We've done several videos together, and I'm a huge fan of hers. And so we've asked both of them, and this is how we continue to joint market. Again, because you have to be thinking of ways to help other people first. So we're having an event this month where we're doing a sip and shop. And they can walk back and forth, and I'm providing the wine and cheese. They're providing discounts for my database to show up and my Facebook followers, our community. And that's going to be really good for their business because it'll be able to reach people they've never reached before. And then back in an endorsement for both of their databases and their followers. So it's, when we can come up with ways to really promote other people's businesses, it will do nothing but help us in the long run.
Most definitely. And it supports the communities in which we love. So going back to a number, we went through the 1 in 50 versus the 1 in 6. And one thing that I'm encouraging my agents, how many contacts do you believe that a realtor should add to their database annually?
Well, you need at least 150, and that comes straight out of 7L for 100,000. So for me, I know that that's not going to be nearly enough. And, I'm used to building large platforms. So I want to have as many relationships as I can. Adding 10 to 20 per week is a really great thing to kind of be focused on doing.
So 10 to 20 per week, I 100% agree. And when I think about 7L, we're talking about people that we've potentially already met. And so that's a great number because everybody is not going to close with you. And you said to get to $100,000 per year contingent upon the price point. Now, based on a number you mentioned earlier, you're in a higher price point area, right? Based on $1 million sales. So you wouldn't need as many, but I'm going to make the assumption you also want to make substantially more than $100,000 a year.
Right. There you go.
So based on those economic goals. So you do Facebook Live videos, you have a talk show, you're sending text. From the lead generation standpoint, there was at the 2017 IOI conference from the National Association of Realtors that lead generation is a $12 billion business, right, in the world of real estate. What are you doing? What are some of your cost saving strategies? Because I noticed you said polished. I understand you're at a higher price point. You have cute boutiques in town. But if you had to spare a cost, where would that cost be?
I do want you to know something because I'm always transparent. I've also got a couple of $40,000 houses closing this month. Okay.
I'm glad. Woo, so we all said it. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
That's right. I don't discriminate for price range. It's really the question when I started working with those investors were about their process. So, it's an easy process. So we're able to get a lot more sales and volume. But our average in Birmingham and our market is around 200. So, that's very average across the country. I just was blessed by having those opportunities. Excellent. And yes, of course, I'd like more of them. Please, Lord, thank you. Yes, but that's not going to happen every day. So, we're going to be probably more in that 300 price range is going to be the typical or the norm for us. But I try to focus on free stuff first. Yes, well, the free stuff are the relationships. And if you can do that, it's going to go a long way, way longer than anything else that you can do in your business. The personal one-on-ones, checking on people, taking dinner to people, taking your past clients out to dinner. I've done a lot of that this year. These are things that I enjoy, but when we're at dinner, they're like looking through their phone to see who they can send you. And not that you're telling them or asking them to, because you really just want to enjoy their company, but that's what they'll do. So I don't want to tell you that I don't do anything or spend any money on technology, because I do. I have a marketing manager who was with me in Get a Real Estate Life for years, and he is fantastic at Facebook ads. And we have something that's called the Listing Blaster. Agents can look at it at thelistingblaster.com, and it's a way to promote your properties that, we had 127 leads on one that he did. Yes. So, and I am looking right now at someone who saw that, who was at the next desk over, and it's taking those leads and creating personal relationships with them. And I have several people that actually respond to that are friends of mine now. So that's what the Listing Blaster can do for you. That's what great lead gen can do for you when you are marketing your properties correctly. Now, seller leads, I'm just going to tell you that my mission is sellers, and seller leads are a lot more difficult on Facebook. A lot of times. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Buyer leads are easy, and I have to tell you that with the market being so scarce, I want 100% of my time focused on lead gen for sellers. I want one question asked, not two. I don't want to confuse people with that 2 or 3 question. Hey, Marky, you know anybody who needs to buy, sell, or invest? Well, now I'm totally brain dead because you wore me out with one question. I want one focused question to get me what I really, really want. And that is a sign in a yard.
So do you know anybody looking to sell? That's your question.
Yes. What 3 people, and I ask in threes, what 3 people do you know that need to sell a house in the next 60 days, Marky? I've got people looking, oh my gosh, we can't get them into. We've exhausted everything in MLS. I am serious. I have got to have houses for sale. What 3 people do you know? Certainly you've talked to people.
Wow. And you put a sense of urgency.
Yes.
Look, 60 days, I need this lead.
Yes.
I need to meet with them face to face. I love it. And your words have power.
Yes, they do.
So now we're dealing with the law of attraction on top of everything else.
Yes.
Wow, I absolutely love it. So you have the Listing Blaster. I know that you still offer coaching. Tell people how can they connect with you, hire you, do business with you? Because you are a woman after my own heart. When you said free stuff, I'm going to tell you why. I tell people all the time, maximize freemium before you pay for premium. Not that we shouldn't pay for anything, right?
You have to send me that quote. I love it.
Not a problem. But we're always looking for something to pay for when we haven't come up with a plan, or better yet, accountability. Right. To use the free stuff.
Right.
So most definitely. So how will people connect with you, order your products, services, coach with you? How do they connect?
All right. So we are doing things a little bit differently, of course, with limited time. And I have mentees as well at my new company. So it is quite a difference for me. I'm still doing coaching, but we're doing it in a group, and it's called 6-Figure Intensity. And let me just tell you, it's intense. It's not 6-figure for pansies. It is 6-figure intensity. So when people really are hungry, they got to be hungry. And it's not for brand new agents, because it will overwhelm you. It's for agents who already have a business, but they're hungry. They're not satisfied where they are. They want more. And I give them the daily stuff to do. Now, if you want some free stuff from that course that I teach from it, go to my6figureday.com and download my 6-Figure Day. And it will tell you all the things you need to do in a day. And it's a game you can play with yourself. You know, we're like, squirrel, 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 right? This lets us be a squirrel chaser. because we could do something different every single day, and it lets us, as long as we come up with the right amount of points for productivity, then it will make a difference in our incomes, because I've listed out all the things that you can do, and you just pick with the ones that fit for you that day, and keep your schedule going that way. So it's mysixfigureday.com, and you can download that. And I think it's the number 6. But Six Figure Intensity is coming up. We start again. We have in mid-August, and we have 8 weeks of 2 live sessions, and we do it in Facebook platform. So they are recorded, and it's very, very interactive. And it is so much fun. One of my girls, Marilyn Boudreau in Lake Charles, Louisiana, she was doing really well already at Citra 21. She is the number 1 this year because she's gone through 2 sessions with me. And what I love about these agents, when they're hungry and they want it and they see it and they see how it's working for them, they come back. So we had 60 people go through the last session, and half of those are going back again through this next session.
Excellent. Those are wonderful. I mean, and I love it. So mysixfigureday.com, and then you have Six Figure Intensity, which is not for the faint at heart, nor for the new agent. Well, you know what? You've shared a plethora of information. I'm always elated when people validate, my thought process or something that I've said, right? Which means then we're all on the right track, and we have 1.4 million realtors to serve who, let me say this, 80% need our help. And so, right, 80-20 rule, they need our help. So I appreciate you for being here today and taking time out of your more busier than ever schedule to be of service to other realtors. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks so much for letting me be here.
Thank you.